From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you for coming today. I see so many members of the various Legion posts, the DAV, the Veterans Organization, so very well represented today, and also, too, so many town employees who are here. That really, really means a lot. So let me begin by introducing a gentleman who actually is now chairing our Veterans Advisory Board here in the town of Islip, and that's Roby Johnson, who's going to really tell us about how we got here. You got it?
Yep. If I were shorter, I wouldn't have to raise this. Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for showing up. My name is Roby Johnson. As Angie said, I am the chairman of the Veterans Advisory Board for the Town of Islip. And what I've done is work with my Veterans Board members to put this together and to make sure that everybody knows and understands what really went on in Vietnam. There were so many things that were written about us that are far from true. But what I want to do now is get into a little bit of the history about Vietnam. All right. Okay. National Vietnam War Veterans Day, originally known as Vietnam Veterans Recognition Day. Can you guys hear me out there all right? And that was signed into law wasn't signed into law, excuse me. That was put out by President Obama. It was never actually signed and made a part of our laws today. However, what's now known as National Vietnam War Veterans Day was signed into law on March 17th, on March 29th, 1917 by President Trump. That date was chosen because March 29th, 1973 was the last American combat units were withdrawn from Vietnam. And what they called MACV, Military Assistance Command Vietnam, was then disestablished. Government words, not mine. American troops were in Vietnam from as early as 1945. The first American to die in Vietnam was Lieutenant Colonel A. Peter Dewey, who was killed in an ambush outside of Saigon on September 26, 1945. On December 22, 1961, Specialist 4th Class James T. Davis was KIA outside of Saigon, and he is listed as the first death on the Vietnam Wall in Washington. There are several years cited as the beginning of the U.S. involvement in Vietnam. 1945, obviously, when the colonel was killed. 1954, 1955, 1956, 1960, and 1965. This just shows how long we were there as advisors, trainers, and allies. For us, those who served in Vietnam in what is popularly called the Vietnam War, the official start was June 1st, 1954, and the official end was April 31st, 1975. 5 U.S. presidents served during the Vietnam War. Presidents Eisenhower, Kennedy, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Nixon, and Ford. President Johnson and Secretary of Defense McNamara were responsible for the troop buildup in Vietnam during the mid to late 1960s. The total number of troops who served on active duty during the Vietnam era was 9,087,000. Of that number, 2,709,218 served in Vietnam. Of that number, less than 1/3 are alive today. Less than 850,000 men and women of the service who served in Vietnam. I have some numbers that are rather sobering. 2,709,218 served in Vietnam. 7.9% of their generation. Peak troop strength was 543,482 on April 30th, 1968. Much of that had to do with the Tet Offensive. 84.4% of the troops were Caucasian. 10.6% were African American. 5% were Native American, Hispanic, Asian American, and others. 7,484 women, 35% of them were nurses. 8 died. 1 was killed in action at the 312th Evacuation Hospital in Chu Lai. Total KIA, killed in action, 58,678. And they were killed by hostile fire. 12,200 by non-hostile or friendly fire, if there is such a thing, were killed. 61% of the men killed were 21 or under. 11,465 were 20 or under. 17,539 were married. The youngest served, there were 6 of them at 16 years of age or younger. Not many people know that. Nobody bothered to look that up. The youngest killed in action was 15-year-old Dan Bullock, U.S. Marine. The oldest that served and was killed was a 62-year-old man. Most casualties, KIAs in Vietnam. U.S. Army had 38,179. Marines, 14,847. Thank you, Marine. Air Force, 2,839. Navy, 2,813. People say, how could the Air Force and the Navy have been in Vietnam? The Gulf of Tonkin was what got Vietnam going. That's what started the war for the Americans. So we had sailors. If you were in the waters off the shore of Vietnam, you're a Vietnam veteran. The Air Force flew over Nam. They were dropping bombs. They were putting out all kinds of stuff. They flew over Nam. They are considered to be Vietnam veterans. They were there. There are 26 hamlets in the town of Islip. 73 men and women from the town of Islip were KIA, killed in action. To me, these numbers are the most important reason to remember our Vietnam veterans and thank them for their service. I would like to say welcome home to my brothers and sisters who served in Vietnam. You've earned the respect that we're trying to give you today. So again, thank you for being in Vietnam and thank you for your service. Angie?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, George, for that history lesson, really, for so many of us. Before we go on, I have a few introductions and everything, but I think what I'd like to do is have the Pledge of Allegiance. And
I have Commander George Houck from Roosevelt Post 411 come lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Aye, aye, sir.
And I don't see the American flag. Oh, there we go.
Head salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. Thank you all. Please be seated. I would just like to recognize those members of the town board and who are here today. Also our town clerk, Linda Vavrica. Our receiver of taxes, Andy Whitman. And the gentleman who serves as the town board liaison to our Veterans Advisory Board, Councilman John Lorenzo. Councilman, would you like to come up and say a few words?
I'll be quick, I promise. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests and honored veterans. On this National Vietnam War Veterans Day, we gather to pay tribute to the brave men and women who served during one of the most tumultuous periods in our nation's history. It's a day to remember their sacrifices, honor their courage, and recognize their unwavering commitment to duty. Our Vietnam War veterans faced unimaginable challenges, sweltering jungles, monsoon rains, and an elusive enemy. They endured separation from the loved ones, witnessed the horrors of war, and carried the weight of their experiences long after returning home. Today, as we honor our Vietnam veterans, let us also reflect on the power of unity. Regardless of personal opinions about war, we must never confuse disapproval with prejudice against those who honorably wear the uniform of our armed forces. Their sacrifice transcends politics and stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of America. So let us remember, honor, and express our deepest gratitude to those who served during the Vietnam War. May their legacy inspire us to uphold the values of duty, honor, and country. I was not alive during the Vietnam War. I was actually 6 days old when it ended. My father, father-in-law, uncles, they've all served. So I want to give a heartfelt thank you to all the veterans that have served and who are serving now. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Thank you so much, Councilman Lorenzo. And also a shout out and thank you to all of the members who are here from the Veterans Advisory Board. It is so important that we have that link to the veterans community. We're encouraging the county to send a representative to those meetings so that we can help make available to our veterans the services that are available in the town of Islip and especially Suffolk County. So again, I think, Roby, you said it well. This ceremony today is really an opportunity for us to pay the respect and honor so long overdue to those who served. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you who are here today. Those of you who continue to serve our community after having served in the armed forces, having served in service, you're here serving in our communities in so many ways in all the veterans organizations and more. So on behalf of all of the residents of this great town of Islip, the elected officials that represent you, we say a heartfelt thank you. Have anything to add?
I don't need any more out of there.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay.
I have a few people here. They're veterans, they're with the American Legion, and I would like to introduce them to the audience. First, past County Commander Jim Beecher from Babylon. Current adjutant and future commander of Suffolk County American Legion, Kevin Eaton. From Post 833, Smithtown, Bill Cordieri. Bill does a lot for Kevin and for the rest of the post. And now on the ladies' side, Evelyn Gurlett. Stand up, shorty. Evelyn Gurlett is the is the president of Unit 411 from Islip. Somebody really special to me. Joanne Johnson, she is the county president of the of the auxiliary. I like standing here looking at and seeing these veterans. They're proud of what they do, and they should be. They're proud of what they were, and they should never, ever be ashamed of having been in Vietnam. We did a job that nobody else wanted to do, and I'm almost thinking nobody else could do, because it was a job that was a thankless job based primarily on the media of the time. Vietnam was a totally unpopular war. Guys came home, they were called names, they were spit on, they were treated with the utmost disrespect, and I'm hoping that this little ceremony that we're doing will start to heal the Vietnam veterans of this country. Thank you. For those of you who haven't been here before, the Vietnam Memorial Gardens here was established by Charlie Pulaski. I couldn't remember the first name, but he did this on his own. They were digging up some streets here. He got them to bring a boulder over here. He spoke with the town. He is the one guy that's responsible for this memorial. And I know that the town has a grant coming, I believe, to spruce up the memorial a little bit. So I'd like to thank you for that, Angie. There's a couple of other people I'd like to thank. The gentlemen that are here from Parks and Recreation. Yes. Thank you, gentlemen, for helping us out. So, I'm afraid that's it. You're all free to go. But if you want to take a look at the Memorial Gardens, please do.
Thank you very much, Roby, for helping organize this. And again, thank you to everyone who attended that, made it that much more special. God bless you all.
Ladies, come up, grab a flower, please.